Oh, my question was, I wonder if you, because you were isolated at the coffee shop, that you're able to focus on a task and that was better for you.
Something about breaking mind patterns. You know how in Slovakia they call this submarine disease, and I don't know if that means anything to you. Does that mean anything to you if I say submarine disease? Okay, Slovak thing then. Okay, so submarine disease is when obviously you're in one space for a longer period of time, and you just lose the ability to connect with anything because everything is so familiar to you. So the classic example is in an office. You spend so long in your office that you develop a specific set of highly repetitive habits which essentially have a negative effect because you don't bring anything new into your world. And you hear people say very often, they need to shake things up. And so one of my beliefs is that if you have an office or an office space, every 3 to 5 years you have to shake things up. You've got to move everything around, whether you want to or not. It doesn't matter what you want. You've just got to move everything around. You have to do it because otherwise I I kind of have this image in my head of some kind of old lady who loves cats and lives in her house and never goes outside and nothing has moved for 20 years or been kind of cleaned properly or something like that. And I think to keep the freshness of a business going, you've got to shake up the environment that you're in every 3 to 5 years completely and totally. This is it's a micro example of that kind of problem.
I agree because with me, I'm trying to figure out some type of technology or something to fix my website or at least half the time it's something technical. I'm not sure what it is I'm supposed to be doing, and I'll walk away. Like I'll spend, oh God, when was the last time? I think I spent 2 or 3 hours on something, and I walked away like I gave up. I'm like, okay, I'll try and figure this out tomorrow. I came back literally within 10 minutes. I just didn't look at one download button or something like that. It was something. Oh, I was editing. I was putting pictures on my videos, and I'm like, how come I can't save this to my camera roll? Why can't I do that? I kept trying to do all these other things, and then I started looking at new apps. I gave up, and then I came back and I realized it was saving it to it automatically. It just wasn't telling me. So I literally wasted 3 hours on something that a problem that actually didn't even really exist, and I just didn't check the right things at the time. So yeah, it's definitely changing your mindset, getting out of like when you hit a plateau. Sometimes it's better to just take a walk. That's one of the things with ET I don't necessarily agree with all the time is he's like just grind, 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 grind. I'm like, well, if it's not coming to you, if an idea isn't coming or something, I think it's okay to take a break sometimes. I think it's inspiration more inspiration than perspiration sometimes. You know, like go ahead and start something else or do something. Because he's the opposite of Ryan Lee, where Ryan Lee will say, okay, I did these things. I went to the coffee shop. I got this all in. Then I got to go see my kid play Little League. And while I was sitting watching him play Little League, I came up with this great idea for our next topic. And then I went back and I did it. Like ET never does that. Like he grinds and grinds and grinds and grinds till it's done, and whatever is done is done. Like he never takes the time off to do something with the family or something like that. Like they're very separate. And I think with Ryan Lee, I think it's more realistic. I think it's more productive. So I will tend to look at his philosophy versus ET's more in that respect.
Yeah, it's that little step back which gives you a chance to observe something slightly differently and just breaks that mental pattern. I think we kind of develop some kind of mental psychosis within our work. There's a kind of mental thinking that most people click into when they're doing their job, and that's useful at the beginning, but over a longer period of time, it can be extremely negative. And that's what I think Johnny broke when he was on his tractor, the first time he was on his tractor. I think that pattern that you get in your office was broken when you were on the tractor, because it was a non-traditional environment for that activity.
Yeah, interesting.
And so it was just taking that 2-3 minute break to do something that I wouldn't normally do, which I would consider, for me that would be a luxury, to go and take a break and go and have a coffee and sit down. I'm not that kind of. Some people go to work and the first thing they do is to go to the coffee shop and sit down for half an hour, blah blah blah. I'm not like that. But in this last week, I've tried this approach to try to break my mental patterns a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's physical and mental, because with some of my clients who are high advanced, uh, they're trying to get a certain lift, like an Olympic lift over their head or something. And I know there's times where they have to grind and do the repetitions. It's like their body just needs that neural pattern instilled, uh, versus they're not getting the lift, they're not getting the technique. And I'll say, go take a jog outside, just get some fresh air. Which is not something I have people do. But like the trainers that have their clients run, like my mentor is like, why are you paying somebody when you can run for free? You should get 100% instruction all the time. It's like you should be instructing this person instead of sending them out to run. Anyway, I don't usually do that, is what I'm saying is. So I'll say, go run down the street and back, which will take them 5 minutes, just to get a fresh perspective. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But just like with this type of thing, it's like, yeah, getting out of your environment, or at least taking a break from it, I think brings that inspiration or that ability to have your mind reset to get to where it is that you actually want to go.